So we mentioned it earlier about John Textor and the podcast interview he did, and let's go on to it then. What we got? So speaking to Alan Myers at the At a Time podcast, Textor made mention of an open-mindedness from Chansiri when it comes to potential sale, but insists there's nothing that's immediately in the works. The American said, specifically with respect to Wednesday, I have to say anything controversial to the fans, but the owner, at least in my experience, has been very open to the idea. I have a little bit of interaction, some directly. I know he's very worried. He's very concerned about the club, even if it may not look like it. What change he had in his life that had led to separation between his future and the club future. I don't want to comment on that. What I will say is that most recently have been pleased by their open-mindedness to talk about the ideas. I'd say it's really complicated when they are one of the clubs that we're looking at. And it's not that I wouldn't love to come in tomorrow, but they are in a very difficult situation. There's a lot of figures to figure out with the owner. There's a lot to figure out with the league itself, and there's not a lot of time to figure it out. I think half to 2/3 of the squad is under the age of 21, and by the time we could get in there and address things, if we agree a deal, I hope it's not too late. They're fighting hard. Their fans are supporting the squad, if not the owner, and everyone is rooting for it to work out. But I think it's been an understated in the terms of the extent we're involved. We're one of about 3 or 4 groups that are getting an appropriate amount of open-mindedness from the owner. So this said to me that we have got people reaching out to him. 3 or 4 groups are looking at speaking to DC about doing it. This sounds like there's a willingness for DC to give the club up and go now. This is the first time we've heard where there could be a little bit where DC is open to the idea of it. And this is someone who has apparently spoken to DC about the idea of buying the club and maybe going and helping that way. Now, here's the thing. There's what DC says to him, and then there's what DC also thinks otherwise. There's 2 sides to it. There always is. But at the same time, you look at it and you go, okay, if there is that kind of situation and we know people are looking, there's got to be a stumbling block there, and it's the only stumbling block we can all think of what it is the how much he wants for the club. That can be the only stumbling block you can see there. Now, here's the thing, it's good that you get the kind of interview from such as John Textor saying, this is what I know and what I dealt with him. Now, the line there that was interesting to me was the line about what change he's had in his life that has led to separate between his future and the club future. That's a very interesting line. That line can be read into, is there an illness? Is there something else? Is there something else? It's a very weird line that says something has happened and DC has now got to a point where he had to go. He got to try and get a sale done. Now, open to a sale is also can be that you can be open to selling your house, but if somebody comes in and puts a bid there, and you don't like the bid there for the open offer of your house, you're going to turn it down. So there's been open to the idea of selling, and they're actually actively looking at getting it sold. 2 different things. So let's see what happens. It's a very interesting interview with what he said there, and you go from there. You go from there. You take it what it is. It's the first real sign that we've had someone turn around and say that they've spoken to him and that they want to do it. Well, second lot, because we had the Shaw lot back in April, who said they had discussions and couldn't get to an impasse. And I think the more things like this that come out, the more it's going to make it harder for him to hang on. Because more and more people are going to probably come out and say, this has happened, that has happened. But at the end of the day, we'll see what happens with it all. Me personally, it's tiring. It's getting very tiring doing Wednesday content at the minute. It's getting very tedious because it's the same thing over and over again with it, and I try and make it so it's not that, and I try and put the news out, but sadly to say, the news about Wednesday is not good. It's not great. It's not something we can sit here and go, oh, it'll all be fine in 6 months. If it's still here, it won't be fine in 6 months at all. It'll be, we're sat here 6 months time knowing that we're already in League One, which I think we already know we probably could be in League One anyway, because we're going to get that point deduction. Once that point deduction hits, you're going to then try and pick all those players back up. Gonna be a mammoth task for Henrik, that. You got to think is, we've heard nothing that says people are getting paid anytime soon. Like generally, we've heard nothing saying that payment situation for them is going to happen anytime soon. So you've got that situation. The last couple of times where they've been paid, it's been around the 15th, 16th, and then it's had to cycle again. So you're going to have people not being paid there. This is the month that's got to give. You've got the stadium situation as well. No one knows what that's going on with that. Is it going to get rolled over? Is it not? Are we going to be looking at them calling in administration or them putting it up for sale? There's so much that we still need answered to and we don't have. And it's going to be one thing after another. It's going to be interesting to see what happens next with Sheffield Wednesday Football Club. I hope there's still a football club for us to support, even if it's in League One or, God, I hope it never happens in League Two. But we all just want a club to support and be able to watch what the players are doing. What the players are doing right now is incredible. They're still trying to put performances in with everything that's going on. And that is something that you've got to admire to them. So, let's see. John Textor has spoken. He said what he said. So, let's see what the next bit is. Who else is potentially going to come out and say something about, I've dealt with DC and I've done this, or we're dealing with DC for a deal, but this is an issue. There'll be more coming out about it. So thank you. Like, share and subscribe. I much appreciate it. Bye.